Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Across the country, parking meters are being repurposed to end chronic homelessness. Milwaukee Downtown's Key to Change directs the funds raised to the mission of the Milwaukee County Housing Division's Housing First project. And here to tell us more about that and their efforts is James Matthey. He's the administrator for the Milwaukee County Housing Division. Hi, James.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here. And really, I want to hear a little bit more about the Housing First initiative. Fill us in.
Sure. So what we decided to do is come up with a plan to end chronic homelessness in 2015 with the goal of ending chronic homelessness within 3 years. So that's how we started. The biggest thing about it is the Housing First philosophy. That's the most important thing about the initiative. And really what it does is it acknowledges that housing is the #1 key to ending homelessness, and people that are hearing an interview like this would think that's fairly obvious, but a lot of communities aren't looking at it that way. Even in Milwaukee, historically, when we were doing homeless outreach, would talk about sobriety and mental health treatment. Are you seeing a psychiatrist, and what is your eviction history? And looking at all that before somebody goes into housing. That was not working. Our homelessness numbers in Milwaukee were the same year after year after year. So really with our plan to end chronic homelessness, it was taking the entire community and looking at it as this Housing First perspective, which is giving somebody permanent housing immediately when they're on the street. So it's the first thing we do, and we wrap services around them after the fact. And what we found that once people's basic needs are met, once their housing needs are met, then they're able to focus on treatment, they're able to focus on employment, and those other things that are relative to services.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because sometimes when you really break down situations that people find themselves in, it's all linked to other things such as poverty, homelessness, and things of that nature. So for you to first tackle the issue of someone being homeless really says a lot. And you use the term chronically homeless, and there is a definition for that. So for people watching, what does it mean to be chronically homeless?
Sure, it's a really important question. So chronically homeless individuals and families are those that have been homeless for a year straight or have 4 different episodes within 3 years. So that's a federal definition. So we decided to focus on that population really for 2 reasons. #1, those are typically the folks that are obviously on the street the longest. They have the most severe needs. So it's our goal to get them in housing as fast as possible. But also on the community side of it, they're typically individuals who utilize an awful lot of public services, a lot of police time, emergency room visits, different things like that, that are really costly services. And what we found through our data is there's just an enormous cost savings providing permanent housing to these individuals with a decrease in all those services in our community.
Yeah, so when someone makes a phone call for the police or maybe uses 911, calls an ambulance, even if they are arrested and go to jail, all of that money is affecting taxpayers. So your goal is to really save that money and really at the same time just make sure individuals have access to resources to help change their lives.
Sure, we talk a lot in our division about the dignity of housing. And it's really important for folks to understand that permanent housing is the solution to homelessness. So that's really what we preach every time that we talk about this.
Yeah, so Milwaukee County is on pace to be the largest county in the nation to end chronic homelessness this year.
Yes.
That's pretty major. So if you would, tell us how you feel Housing First has been so successful.
Sure. We really think a lot of it is, the first thing is a wide range of community partners. You heard from Beth and Shauna. Beth was probably our first cheerleader with this initiative from the downtown business district. But it gives the listeners an idea of how many community partners it takes to do this. That's probably the biggest thing. We have partners ranging from the downtown business district to the Milwaukee Police Department, the district attorney's office. It's really taken a village with a project like this. The other thing that we think is really important is a lot of our Housing First services are really driven by those we serve. We have an advisory council as an example of formerly homeless individuals that are in Housing First that dictates our policy. They tell us things that they want changed. They visit all of the folks that are in housing through our program to give us feedback. So really the Housing First philosophy is truly looking at an individual and meeting them where they're at having them develop their own plans, whatever those are, and we really follow that philosophy pretty strongly.
Yeah, and so I mentioned in the beginning of this segment that nationwide there are a lot of cities that are doing the Key to Change concept, but what do you feel is unique about the initiative that you're doing here?
I think one of the things is just have it come from the downtown business district.
Yeah.
It was kind of in Beth's mind to do this, and to have private groups kind of lead that decision, I think is really unique. The other thing that I'm excited about is we're starting a homeless endowment that can actually be found through the Downtown Bids website and the Key to Change website. And the idea with the homeless endowment, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation is the fiscal agent for that fund that just got started. And a lot of the Key to Change funds can be funneled through this homeless endowment. So the idea is once we end chronic homelessness, we are going to need a lot of financial participation from our community, public and private partnerships, to make this sustainable in the future. So this homeless endowment is going to be our tool to do that. So I think it's a really unique way for us to accomplish that.
So people are able to donate online to really make a difference with everything that we've talked about, as well as feeding those meters, which most of those are right along Wisconsin Avenue, right?
They are.
And they have a distinctive look, so
Yes.
you'll know when you see them,
Yes,
right?
they're very cool.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to expand that program. And again, if folks go to the Key to Change website, they can learn more about Housing First and also the homeless endowment as a way to sustain all of our progress.
Yeah, James, what I wanted to talk about quickly are some of the barriers, because someone would say, why can't people just find a job? But there are a lot of things that really could get in the way of someone being able to get a job and then obtain housing and do some of the things that a lot of us take for granted each and every day.
Sure. One of the things we fight quite a bit in our work is the stigma of homelessness. And a lot of people always look at panhandlers as those, if they were employed or made these certain changes, they wouldn't be homeless anymore. We've found through our data is 100% of the individuals that we have served in our program have some sort of disability. And a lot of folks might not realize that. So these are folks that have mental health disorders, struggle with alcohol, drug addictions, those types of things. And there's a lot of barriers to employment for these individuals, as well as barriers to services, as well as our community.
Yeah, and even barriers to someone obtaining housing. If you've had a number of evictions, or maybe you don't have a good credit report, you have landlords who maybe not thinking you're a great candidate to be a resident in their on their property. So this is
Correct.
where you guys come in. How do you help them locate permanent and independent housing?
Sure. So we have a wide range of providers in our community that help us with our Housing First initiative. I think one of the other unique things is it's rare for a government agency to do homeless outreach and to put all those pieces together. So we try to be the A to Z connection for a lot of our clients. The housing division does our own homeless outreach under the bridges if we need to find these individuals. And the idea is not to hand our clients off to other people. We see them from the street all the way into housing until they're connected to services after the fact. So I think that's pretty unique. And our data has really shown this to be an effective model, and it's something we're really proud of. We want to make sure that we're a good steward of the funds that we're given, whether it's taxpayer money or private money. A couple of the statistics that we're proud of, we have a 97% housing retention rate for our clients.
Wow.
So these are the hardest to house individuals probably within the state of Wisconsin. 97% of them remain in our housing, and 100% of them have accepted voluntary services after they've been in housing. So we really think that we have found the blueprint to not just ending chronic homelessness, but dramatically reducing overall homelessness in our state. And we're hoping just to form more of a public-private partnership and try to diversify the funding of our program in the future.
Yeah, and these are the type of initiatives that can make everyone proud to live here in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Since last year, Key to Change has raised more than $16,000. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So we encourage people to continue to donate funds online and also to use those meters, because apparently it is really catching on and people understand they're making a difference.
Yes, and even more important than the money, it's really a good education tool around stigma. The meters are grabbing a lot of attention, and once folks go to the Key to Change website, another website folks can go to is housingfirstmilwaukee.com to learn more about this initiative and just learn more about homelessness in general. And why we're doing things the way that we're doing them.
Yeah, if you really just look at the numbers and balance things out, studies show that doing nothing about chronic homelessness costs taxpayers between $30,000 and $50,000 per year. So if we all just give a little bit, of course we know those dollars add up, and it evens out nicely, and it's really helped making a positive change as opposed to doing nothing, like I said, and that problem remaining the same or getting worse for that matter. So another thing I wanted, if someone's watching and they wanted to get housing or need more information immediately, they can just dial 211, right?
That's correct. That's still the front door for all homelessness services is 211. Through 211, there is a coordinated entry system for homeless services. That's dramatically different than it was years ago. We work hand in hand with Impact 211 in their coordinated entry area. So individuals get assessed based on their need. If folks are on the street, especially in winter, we're able to prioritize folks that really are the most vulnerable, and that's done through that coordinated entry system.
And as we wrap up, I just wanted to make quick mention of some of the other programs that fall under the umbrella of the Milwaukee County Housing Division. There's home repair, where you guys offer low interest and zero interest loans to income qualified homeowners, and sometimes it even comes in the form of a grant. But so if you have somebody that's disabled that needs to make some changes to their home so that they can utilize their home, you guys are there to help, right?
We are, and that's a really popular program we offer throughout Milwaukee County. So for individuals who are low-income homeowners that have issues with their roof or plumbing or electrical or things like that, seniors that can't remain in their home because of these types of repairs, we're able to offer those 0% interest loans and manage the whole rehab and construction process within our division.
And we want people to not only keep that in mind, but spread the word in case they see someone who is in need. Make sure they get in contact with you guys. Also, you have your rental assistant that's also known as Section 8, and then special needs housing. So people can go to your website to find out more about that as well. Real quick, the Adventures of Bob in downtown Milwaukee. This is retailing for $25. We had Bob on earlier. All the proceeds are benefiting Key to Change, which in turn goes to this outstanding program. So thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
James Matthey is the administrator for Milwaukee County Housing Division, and for more information on anything that we've discussed or to donate, you can visit keytochangemke.com or housingfirstmilwaukee.com. That is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, thank you for watching, and I do hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues, Milwaukee. Have a great day.